What is up, True Fitness family? Welcome to another episode of the True Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Conway, and I'm also your coach. So hopefully I can bring some value here today. We're going to address another question that has been left on the YouTube channel, something that I want to address because I believe that it's a common problem. And I don't know that it's a common problem for all of us. I don't know that it's a common problem for some of you that are watching this, but I do believe that it is a common problem to the outside looking in on what CrossFit is, if they can afford it, how they need to apply it, how they can apply it if they're on a budget. But I want to read this question. It's from Strong Body, Strong Mind, double I in there. And it says, how would you navigate wanting to get better at CrossFit, but don't have all the resources at your disposal? Whether it be your hometown doesn't have an affiliate, you can't afford a membership, you can do the workouts, but your diet is off right now due to outside circumstances, etc. Well, this again seems to be a common concern to people outside of the community. And I say that because if you're within the community, you're fortunate enough to either have an affiliate that you attend on a regular basis and to even be doing things like going to the CrossFit games to watch and spectate, to be a part of some type of online forum or group of people that you follow the programming for, kind of like us at True Fitness. You might even have a nutrition coach or someone that helps you with that. But the idea here is for me to offer a perspective shift and also a means to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve, regardless of the obstacle at hand. If you're not familiar with the book, The Obstacle is the Way, I would encourage you to look into it first and foremost, as this has been and given a tremendous mind shift to some of my clients and also myself throughout the years in regards to being encouraged by the resistance that we often face. Because, of course, when it comes down to it, the obstacle is the way, meaning that what stands between us and the end goal, what stands between us and our vision, what stands between us and the goals that we want to achieve is actually the reason that we get up every day, is actually the reason that we have purpose every day. And our goal is to try to fulfill that purpose. Let's say that your purpose is to become a fitter version of yourself. CrossFit on a budget. CrossFit 101 on a budget is that, well, CrossFit is free. CrossFit is free to every person. Go to CrossFit.com. There is an endless amount of workouts that is there. Go navigate all the way back until 2001. You might have to search, you might have to Google, you might have to pull up some articles. You need to Google search and find your back behind the curtain way into what is called the CrossFit Journal, because you can still find a way. And what you want to do is educate yourself. Right now, here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that your path is easy. I'm not saying that your path is not going to have some obstacles that will present themselves as larger obstacles than things that I have, or obstacles that are greater than what someone else is facing from another city, from another state, because, well, they do have an affiliate or they do have greater means to spend on and invest in their health and wellness. But what I'm saying is that there's no way for you not to get the kernel of the value of CrossFit fitness in 100 words, understanding the definition, understanding how to actually employ it when you have equipment, no equipment, only your body weight, how to air squat properly, how to deadlift properly, how to press properly. All of these things are free 99 to each and every person tuning into my podcast. That means that you can go to YouTube, you can scour YouTubes, you can talk to your friend ChatGPT for free 99. You can go to, like I said, CrossFit.com, which is the source that I would suggest that you browse the most, and find sources on sources in regards to PDF articles that are free, how to articles that are for free, and then of course workouts of the day. So that is my first statement. I want to lead the way by supporting that statement to help people understand that what we often do is create this vernacular of what CrossFit is. Well, I need a barbell. Well, I need dumbbells. Well, I need a pull-up bar. You need none of those things to explore constantly varied functional movements executed at a high intensity. You don't have a pull-up bar. I'm sorry for you. But I bet there's something that you can hang from in and or around your house. I would also encourage you to know that I invested in a pull-up bar for my children that I can move to any door in the house that cost me $24.99 from Amazon. And I stop and hang on it on a regular basis and do pull-ups on it from a regular basis. You could attach a band to it and support yourself. If you need, a spotter. You could put something under your feet to do jumping pull-ups. So there's a hanging variation of something that we're looking at. Even if you need bands, we're looking at $40 landed, and that's to your front door. Amazon, great resource. Secondly, you have no external loading. Well, that's okay, because if you spend time mastering the walking lunge, the curtsy lunge, the step up, yes, even if that means outside on a rock, on a stone, on your couch, on a chair, on a series of stacked whatever you might have in your garage, in your apartment, the steps to your apartment, right? So master the step up, the lunge, the curtsy lunge. Then we get into the air squat. And when you do that, those series of movements, you can make each of those ballistic or plyometric, meaning that you can jump from those positions. This is a wonderful way to train your central nervous system. This is a wonderful way to add intensity. What we're doing is we're potentially 3xing and beyond our body weight. So let's say I weigh 205 pounds. Well, when I squat to the bottom of a squat and jump as high as forcefully possible and then land again in that squat position, I'm 3xing my body weight due to the mechanics and the velocity at which I can force my body to travel. So that's our form of weightlifting when we have nothing. You can even do push-ups from your knees and add a plyometric component to those, where you lower yourself to the ground and drive up as hard and as violent as you can from the kneeling position. Because I'm pretending that, again, maybe your physical barrier is that you don't have the capacity to do an RX push-up. That's okay. Do it from your knees and accelerate up as fast as you can, as high as you can. Of course, you can do it RX. Do it from your feet then. Oh, if you can do it from your feet and that's easy, and you can jump up as high as you can from your chest, well, jump your feet and your hands up when you do a plyometric, right? All these things can develop speed and power, and channel your central nervous system to develop more speed and power. The rich get richer with plyometrics. Now, you might not know how to apply those, but again, ChatGPT got you. If you can't pay for a coach that will prescribe it or explain it or walk you through it, if you can't get to an affiliate that can prescribe it and train it and walk you through it, the internet is undefeated. And I'm assuming that if you submitted this question, you do have an access to that. So again, it's not about the resources. It's about being resourceful with what you do have. Someone told me that once in regards to business. They said, Adrian, the bottom line is that if you want to grow a fruitful business, regardless of the industry that you're in, it's not about your resources, it's about your resourcefulness. And I would argue that that is the case for any and every endeavor that you face in life. If you want to lead a wonderful marriage, well, don't look at your resources. Look at how resourceful you can be. If you want to be a great parent, well, don't look at your resources. Look at your resourcefulness. Look at your ability to beg, borrow, and steal any information to be the best father and mother that you can. What are you willing to compromise and sacrifice from what you do have to invest in your children, and the time with them, and the time that you can develop them, and the time that you can serve them, the time that you can teach them? You see, this is the common vernacular that I use each and every day when I work with a client, because so many of our limitations are different, but they're all the same. Again, the issue is not the resources, but one's resourcefulness. We talked about the pull-up bar. I talked about the jumping and the plyometrics to replace weightlifting. And now we get into the meat and potatoes of these movements that I already went over, like the lunge, the curtsy lunge, the step up, the air squat, the empty-handed thruster where you squat down and press over your head, the push-up, the burpee, running, jumping, a jump rope. Again, you could have you could just search body weight workouts. There are so many ways for us to do this, but you gotta want to do it, folks. This message is not for simply the person that submitted this question. This message is for each and every person that is out there in this world who finds that they make excuses for themselves. And by no means am I coming down on you, but I want to inspire you to realize, like, do some self-reflection. When you ask a question like this, are you really admitting and submitting to these limitations? Or are you willing to find another way? Because if you're willing, follow along these cues that I'm giving you, follow along my words, and you will continue to be able to level up your fitness, your health, your self-discipline, and ultimately what you perceive as your self-worth. You'll respect yourself more, you'll love yourself more, because you will be taking care of yourself. So folks, I hope I make this a thorough understanding. Now, I want to get to this nutrition aspect, because it says when your nutrition is limited, okay, when this is what it reads, I'm reading this to you guys. So sorry if that, but it says, and you can't afford a membership, you can do the workouts, but your diet is off right now due to outside circumstances. Now, outside circumstances, what does this often look like for people? Well, it could look like you're on a financial budget. I just made a post not long ago that demystified this argument about not being able to afford high quality foods when you're on a budget. If you're on a budget, that means you're looking for every deal, every opportunity for yourself to save money, first and foremost. So that means the foods that I list here, you should already be looking at them from a budgeted rate. So, yes, you should go explore what are they doing with the produce that they're about to throw away? What are they doing with the produce that's already marked down because, well, it's one day past the expiration date? Can I eat that food? You need to educate yourself on that. How do I clean my vegetables? How do I make my vegetables last longer? How much can I find fruit for at the farmer's market? And is it cheaper there? Can I create a relationship with the farmer? Do I live out in a rural area or am I in the city in the thick of it? Because that can also dictate what you're willing to do for your nutrition. But what I want to reiterate is that you can find a way. You can find a way to eat whole foods on a very low budget. Most people aren't willing to find that way. Most people aren't willing to do the things they need to. So not only can you fuel yourself with quality foods, but it can also naturally lend itself to you not overfueling with processed junk. Processed junk is attractive because it looks like it's a markdown price because it lasts forever, but you get hardly any nutrients from it and you get very high caloric density from it. And also, it makes you hungry, more hungry typically, right? There's this natural food addiction that is embedded in all the saltiness, all the sweetness that we often overconsume when we're thinking and looking at processed foods, highly processed foods, ultra processed foods. I'm not talking about oats. I'm not talking about the breads that you buy from the grocery store. Um, I'm not even talking about dried figs and dates. And some people will argue like, "Oh, that's processed." It's a right. I'm not trying to persuade you to eat any way that I would encourage as creating another obstacle in the way. But I am reiterating that whatever you feel like your obstacle is for nutrition, it's not one. Now, there are people out there who battle with certain not food disorders from a psychological or emotional perspective, but I mean more of like intolerances and allergies. Depending on the way that you respond to certain foods, of course, this might limit your food availability and what you can eat and what you have access to. But again, there's a way. The internet is undefeated when it comes to education. So if you're unsure, well, you've got an opportunity to reach out to a coach like me. I'd be more than willing to even have a call with you to help discuss these things, to go over ways to apply it. I am here for nothing more than to help people improve the quality of their life and to improve the quality of the years that we've been granted of our life. So I want you to live more full and I want you to find a way, even if that means not paying me for the services, but to find a way that you can afford something that works in your budget. Because I really believe that fitness is freedom, just like discipline is. And I can be full of one liners. So I hope that the last 13 to 14 minutes hasn't been just that for you. But I hope this brings strong conviction to each and every person that CrossFit can be hard on a budget because of the membership. But I saved this for last for a reason. If you look at the way that you spend money, you will find $150 a month. Again, I say this, if you look at the way that you spend money and the frivolousness at which you spend, the lack of planning for your grocery store trips, I'm not saying it's frivolous, but what I'm saying is if you don't plan, then you are leaking money in ways that you don't anticipate. If you just buy clothes when you think you need them versus when you plan to buy them, if you buy hats, if you buy, right, like there are so many, if you have Netflix and Hulu and all these other things that can actually detract from the quality of your life, but well, they have high entertainment value. That can be true. And entertainment is value. I don't want to vilify those things, but I want you to understand that there's a compromise. Just like fitness, I can only be so strong as I am endurance based. I can only be so endurance based as I am strong because I want general physical preparedness for all things. Well, if you want your life to be well rounded, there must be compromises that you're willing to make. There must be budgets that you're willing to set both for time, both for the allocation of resources, and really what you deem as taking the highest priority. People can afford CrossFit who say they cannot afford CrossFit. And it's one of the things that really burns me. It really frustrates me when I hear people say that. I know ballpark of how much money they make. I know what their expenses look like, and I know they waste money. But then they have the audacity to say, "Well, yeah, CrossFit's too expensive." Really? This thing that can hold you accountable to your training because, well, you're invested in it. This thing that gives you personalized training every day in a group setting. So you're paying $150 a month, but you can come to that CrossFit gym. Let's say you go 5 times a week. Gosh, you can go 20 sessions divided by 150. You do the math. It's almost like a personal training experience. If you go to a good gym and you get intensity and you get community and you get access to coaches that you can really ask right there in real time, coach, how should I be changing my diet? What are things that I should be looking out for? And if coaches aren't equipped to help you with these things, they're not good coaches. Now, I know that you might not all have access to great coaches, and that's why I'm here. That's why True Fitness exists, is because we work with a ton of athletes that are in the margins. We work with athletes who go to affiliates who don't get the necessary training that they need, that they want. We work with athletes who go to affiliates but aren't getting the nutrition support and accountability that they want, or the realness and the real life application. There are so many affiliates that drop the ball with this and don't even do nutrition coaching. That's why we exist. I work with coaches who are the best coaches in their city, in their area, because they also need coaches and need support and help to draw stronger conviction on these areas of their life, exactly the things that I'm describing. So, team, I hope this helps you. CrossFit can be done on a budget. CrossFit can be done when you create a budget. And I say create a budget by working on pinching your pennies, saving up, and really prioritizing what you deem as the most important thing, which is your physical, psychological, and emotional health. CrossFit checks those boxes for many, many people, and it will change your life forever. But also, if you got $0, but you got space, and you got this thing right here called the internet that you're probably listening to this podcast on, or you're watching me on, then you got enough. Find a way. Please submit a question to us if you got one. Please share this episode with someone that needs to hear it. And even if you just got an encouraging words for me after this nice charge, let your boy know. Subscribe to the channels, folks. You're supporting us and you're supporting what we do at True Fitness. Please visit us at TrueFitnessTTRUFitness.com. And of course, we got 7 days free, all access training. Jump in and join it. Folks, if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, man, I could really use a kick in the tail and I could use some accountability, we'll sign up for and apply for one-to-one coaching or one-to-one nutrition support, which we offer both. So have a great one wherever you're at, whatever time it is when you're absorbing this information. I appreciate you rocking with me. Keep rising.